So I was at work the other day, and we were all standing around in a circle. And I mentioned something to one of my fellow coworkers who also happens to be one of my players. And then somebody else in the conversation chimed in, and they said, "What is it you're talking about?" And I looked over at them, and I said, "D&D. We play D&D." And my player looked over and said, "It's a role-playing game." And the first person looked at me and tilted their head to the side and said, "I'm sorry, what? What is that?" And I said, "D&D?" And my player says, "It's Dungeons and Dragons." And the first person goes, "Oh, okay. I don't know what that is." And it got me thinking, how do you explain D&D to someone who really has no concept of the idea, no gaming experience, no nothing? So what the heck is D&D? Well, first, imagine this. You're sitting around a table with some people. There's 5 of you total. Someone says a joke that was just perfectly timed, and you all gush with laughter. You couldn't plan something that perfectly timed. So great. One of you takes a sip from their drink, and then you all lean in forward. It's more serious now. It's time to get back to the task at hand and the rewards that come with it. Now stop imagining and tell me this. What color was the table? Who was it that took a drink? What flavor was it? What was the lighting like? Was it very bright? Was it very dark? What did the room look like to you? If you've answered those questions, congratulations, you're playing D&D. Thanks so much for watching. Comment below and okay, I kid. So there might be a bit more to it, but that's probably the most important. D&D is really about allowing yourself to be set in a scene and then reacting to the things around as described by the DM. The DM is the person you see in pictures with the funny-looking cardboard folder in front of them. The DM tells you what you see, hear, feel, smell, and you decide what you want to do with that. Together, with other people at the table, and through teamwork, you overcome puzzles and challenges. I find it's all too often forgotten, these core principles of the game. It's easy to get caught up in the books, the builds, and there's dice, and there's minis, and it's all really very exciting, but if you can't work as a team, or you can't allow yourself to go on a ride together, it's probably not going to be a good time. There's actually a ton of different games out there. D&D is just the name that a lot of people know because it got famous first. But saying D&D could both be referencing the current product produced by Wizards of the Coast underneath Hasbro, or it could be referencing the hobby of sitting around a table with a group of friends to play a game. Heck, swap out the funny-looking dice with a Monopoly board and it's almost kind of the same thing. You play. At the table, on top of the table, a tabletop game, if you will. So what about the RPG part? So for my non-gamers, imagine that the little hat on your Monopoly board had a name and had traits, like he or she was really strong or really fast. Imagine that someone else was playing a little car and they chose to be really smart, but not super strong. Give them a few traits. Maybe they like flowers. Give them some training. Maybe the car is a top-tier mechanic. Maybe the hat likes doing warrior stuff, big buff things. It doesn't have time for your silly words. And there you go. That is a character, a role that you are playing, if you will. And the movie is in your head. And the DM describes the thing as you picture it, like a director. And then since you are the actor in this film, you pick your lines, your choices, and your props. Of course, you share the stage with other people, and that's the magical part. None of you know exactly how it's going to go. What if you cut up the Monopoly board? What if you spilled coffee on the jail corner and opted to jump off the board entirely? What if Car and Hat decide to run to the board center and stack up property cards into a small fortress to hold out a defense while the origami paper bills storm the keep? So when you have a character and a DM, also sometimes called a GM, judge, referee, how do you know if something you try to do works? Hat swings at the origami dollar bill. Does he hit? Does he miss? That's where the dice come in, and the sheets of paper, and the books. This is also where the game you're playing might matter. I run off of 5th edition D&D, but other systems have different ways of handling this next part. Good idea, read the books or watch a video on that specific system. See, in D&D, you get these numbers called ability scores, and they determine how strong, fast, clever, wise, tough your character is. These scores influence the results of the dice rolls. When Hat goes to swing, he rolls a dice. But Hat is very strong, so we add a bonus to that swing, which makes it more likely that he will succeed. If Carr tried to hit them, he'd not get any bonuses. He could still hit if he rolled well, but it's more luck than if Hat were doing the swinging with those bonuses. Now, apply that logic to almost anything. Those are called skills, and they're influenced by the ability scores and skills you choose to specialize in. If we decided Carr was a good mechanic, we might choose sleight of hand as a skill to get a bonus on. So when we need him to do something with his hands, or wheels, then we get to apply that bonus. It means he's more likely to accomplish the thing he's trying to do in that area. Or maybe we could choose acrobatics, because after all, mechanics spend a lot of time twisting and reaching to get into things and places, so you can pick something that works with the character that you have, that makes sense. When we said that Carr was a mechanic and that Hat was a warrior, we were choosing classes for them. A class is kind of like an occupation. Said occupation comes with certain assumed skills. A secretary is probably going to be a pretty fast typist. An athlete will have good stamina. A good leader will probably have great people skills, also called charisma. When we pick a class in D&D and other games, we are choosing a generalized set of mechanics for what we get bonuses to, while also giving ourselves some flavor text for what our character is like. In addition to that, we also get to pick a race. This is the elf, dwarf, human, half-elf that even non-gamers have likely heard of before. These race choices, again, affect the flavor text or just the visual description of our character, and also a few other things as well. We get what's called features, or special little things that we can do because of our race class choice. You might be able to see in the dark, hit things extra hard, run faster, skip sleeping at night, and various other things. We said before that the DM is the one setting the scene. If this were a video game, the DM is like your PlayStation or your Xbox. The only caveat is that you can't just sit back and let the game play for you. If you don't pick up the controller and move the character, nothing will happen, and people will get bored, and your DM will stress. And don't make your DM stress. Don't make your DM do all the work. Ask questions, engage, and really try to picture where you are and what you're doing. Now, there's a lot more to the whole 5th edition system, and even much more to other games not even mentioned here, but that's fine. I just wanted to put this little thing out as an idea to throw out to someone who's never heard of it before. Jargon is something you pick up over time. If you're serious about playing, go do it. Seriously, the only way to learn something well is to try it. And there are countless videos out there with more details on more specific topics, like how to make a good character, how to role play well, or what notes you might want, what books to look at, and so on. Some of my personal favorites are Ginny D, Bob World Builder, Game Masters, WebDM, Dungeon Dudes. There's tons out there, so poke around. I hope at the very least you found this entertaining. We'll catch you on the next one.